Pathetic training facilities for India's best. Athletes forced to live under unhygienic and unhealthy living conditions. 13 beds in one room for sportspersons with rusty equipments. Visuals on your screens are from Sports Authority of India's training centre in Mumbai, where more than 200 top athletes are training currently.
Athletes from different parts of India, from various parts of India come here, they train here, they have to stay here, and you can see the pitiable living conditions that they've been forced to stay over here. There are as many as 13 beds in one room, so 13 athletes have to share one room over here. They have been forced to share one room over here. See the conditions over here. These are the rooms on my right side, and you can see the conditions. The rooms open over here on this side, and you can see there is debris everywhere. There are bamboos being kept. There is a lot of the cleanliness has not been taken care of at all over here. The pitiable conditions of all the equipments. These are the conditions of the gym equipments at the Science Center. You can see everything has been burned out. It is almost in a deteriorating condition, and we get to know that athletes in fact have to train on these kind of facilities.
What's even more shocking is the reaction of those in charge.
अगर वर्कआउट होगा तो टूटेगा भी।
तो आपको सही लगता है?
हम उसको कराते हैं, सारा कुछ कराते हैं और सब कुछ ठीक है। यहाँ कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
आप बोल रहे हो कि वर्कआउट करोगे तो टूटेगा भी?
हाँ,
तो उसका
फिर उसकी रिपेयर भी कराते हैं, सारा कुछ।
अभी हम बताएंगे तब आप रिपेयर कराओगे?
नहीं, हम कराएंगे, करा रहे हैं। आई एम सेटिस्फाइड, बट इसको एक दिन में होने वाला नहीं है, टाइम लगता है हर चीज़ को। नई बिल्डिंग है, ये बड़ा काम हुआ है, सारे कॉम्प्लेक्स बन रहे हैं इसके अंदर, जितने भी गेम्स है। हमारा रेसलिंग का कितना बड़ा हॉल बन रहा है।
देखिए ऐसा है, आपको जो भी पूछना है आप हमको लिखित दीजिए, हम अपने हेड ऑफिस से बात कर लेंगे। हमारे पास ऑर्डर आया हुआ है, हम इंटरव्यू नहीं ले सकते।
देखिए मुझे कितना
हमें भी बुरा लगता है, बुरा लगता है।
वही बोल रहा था, आपको बुरा तो लगता है तो आप एक्शन क्यों नहीं लेते?
मैं बता रही हूँ आपको कि आप मुझे दीजिए।
आप अभी आपने एक्सेप्ट किया कि हमें भी बुरा लगता है।
आई एम सॉरी, मैं
इंटरव्यू नहीं ले सकता।
Athletes, on the other hand, say that they need better conditions for accommodation.
है ना वो?
नहीं तो भी सही है।
बस फटा हुआ है, सब टूटा हुआ है।
हाँ।
अब टूटा तो है ना?
हाँ।
कितने एथलीट्स हैं यहाँ पे टोटल? कितने स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन हैं?
100 होंगे, 100 के ऊपर
होंगे ना?
हाँ।
और जो ऊपर जो टूटा हुआ फैसिलिटी है, सब पूरा टूटा हुआ है जिम। आपको बुरा मतलब डिफिकल्टी नहीं होती उसकी वजह से?
होती है, एडजस्ट करते हैं।
एडजस्ट करते हो? आप अभी कितने साल के हो? किस स्पोर्ट में हो?
मैं रेसलिंग में हूँ।
किस लेवल पे खेलते हो?
मैं स्टेट
लेवल।
हाँ।
After exposing the sorry state of Indian sports at the premier training centre for athletes in Mumbai, we ask, is this the future of Indian sports? Is this how we will create champions? With 2020 Olympics just a couple of years away, is this how our athletes will train to compete with other international counterparts? Let's debate.
Hello, very good evening. You're watching Nation Now with me, Afrida Rahman Ali. Well, every single international level tournament, we have our hopes high for the Indian athletes. We cheer for them, we watch their performances with great anticipation. We accept victory or defeat as it comes because we see that there has been no let-up in the efforts put in. But as a country, are we giving our athletes their due when it comes to their training, their preparation, the groundwork, the stage at which they need the support of the infrastructure, the coaching, the exposure? Has the country failed the athletes? Let's look at the facilities provided to our athletes. Those pictures are running on your screens. Premier Sports Centre in Mumbai. This is the condition. So let me welcome my guests on the show. V. Srivatsa, senior sports journalist. Dr. Sunita Godra, who's a former Asian marathon champion. Joining us on the show also is Vaibhav Agarwal, leader of the BJP. I have my colleague Arunil, who has in fact brought us that report. Excuse me. Before I go to my guest, let me bring in Arunil first. Arunil, tell us, when you were shooting for this, of course we can see the pictures there on our screens. What also shocks us, not just the facility and the pathetic conditions, but also the responses that came in from the authorities. Can you take us through the experience you had visiting the sports facility run by the Sports Authority of India in Mumbai?
Well, Afrida, if we see, we always speak about medals at the Olympics, but is this the real way, like how we are going to create our champions. This is a Sports Authority of India center which was in Kandivali, Mumbai. Remember, this is the only center in the entire Mumbai metropolitan region which covers Mumbai, Thane, up to Pune in fact, and around 120 athletes leave their houses from different parts of India to stay over here. One important thing, when I saw the gym, it was the athletes only who had basically called me to show the plight. They showed their plight. Yes, they were extremely scared to speak on the camera. They said that if at all they speak on the camera, action will be taken against them. So when I saw the gym, it was really in a pitiable condition. All the equipments were in a deteriorating state. And remember, all these athletes require strength. Training in the gym is of utmost importance to them, and training in such kind of a gym raises the injury concern to a very large extent. So that is one serious thing. And when we visited their accommodation as well, around 13 beds were kept in one room. So this is the condition of these athletes. This is the troublesome condition in which they have to brace through. And after that, I visited the offices as well as the accommodation of the officials who've been staying in this Sai Center. And there I saw there were AC rooms. All their accommodation was was very perfect. They had good furniture as well. So basically, main question here is, what is the priority? Wasn't the athletes the main priority with respect to Khelo India, or are these officials the main priority? That was one question.
Right. Arunil, you have pitched it very well. I'm going to take up all of that with my panel of guests joining us this evening. So coming to you first, Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal, खेलो इंडिया जीतो इंडिया, ऐसे कैसे जीतेगी इंडिया, ऐसे कैसे मेडल्स आएंगे? आप देख रहे हैं, you can see the pictures, and you know we question your authorities, the immediate authority who is answerable. You saw the answers we got. बुरा तो हमें भी लगता है, but क्या कर सकते हैं? Is that all you have to offer?
No, so let me tell you one thing, that the government is very serious with the Khelo India program that has come up. You also have to appreciate that the person who's speaking on the camera has no authority to A, speak, B, has no credibility in what he says. I'll tell you why. Because he may be saying that in his own capacity.
She's the director of this facility. You're saying she's not authorized to speak?
No. She is the director of Sai.
Yes.
She should have actually clarified. It is her responsibility how this entire facility runs. If she has a problem after getting about 600 to 700 crores a year in our annual budget, after getting such a forward-looking government at the center, after giving increasing budgets, the Khelo India program, we've done about 18 such activities, training centers, and full backing of the athletes, a rehabilitation program, etc. I think this is the apathy and the failure at the end of the director or the authority at Sai, and they need to be pulled up. The government has clear directive of fixing these issues. This is not the first time that such an issue is coming up.
Okay. I'm glad at least you have accepted the fact that the Sai director should be answerable.
Oh, absolutely.
And if anybody has to pull her up, it will be your government, because this is directly under the Central Ministry of Sports Authority of India. So I expect you, of course, to take note of that. But look where is the government? Where is the efficiency in sports administration? Exactly. I was going to say that you have a young, dynamic sports minister who was an athlete himself, who was a
gold medalist. Yeah,
a gold medalist. So if he doesn't take note of this, who will? So that's the question, because we are asking, where is the efficiency in managing facilities? The other point that Arunil raised, which is very important, is that look at the sports administrators. They treat themselves royally. And I'm going to take examples of various other instances where you have the sports administrators booking themselves in a flight, and the players have to be packed like a sardines. You know which incident I'm talking about. It's a very recent case of last week where players of the under 17 team had to travel in a rickety tempo from Jammu to Srinagar, from Srinagar to Jammu, I beg your pardon, and this happened on the 26th of October. The sports management officials, Mr. Agarwal, booked themselves in a flight conveniently. So that's the disparity we are addressing here.
I think that's absolutely appalling. And look, understand, Afrida, this government is reeling with a lot of pressure in terms of fixing what we've seen. that is bad. In this government, there is, see, all this is not day one. All this has not happened under our government. We are only trying to take notice of such stuff and fix it. Now, you also understand that Sports Authority of India, as we talk, may have had its legacy of issues, but we can't just stop the entire function one shot and start fixing it and then relaunch it. It has to continue. It's an ongoing process, and the process right now is that there is a change that is coming in. We've changed the name. We've already the framework of the new framework of the policy perspective of the Sports Authority and the other games is in place. The activities that we want as a entire thing on the whole is on its place. So yes, there are lapses, but these are legacy issues that we are dealing with, and of course our government is the ruling dispensation right now, so obviously the blame looks at coming to us. But please help us bringing these issues forward, and we are taking a note of it. You've always seen that on burning issues our government is already hearing.
Right. Let me bring
on
in
all
Dr.
burning issues,
Sunita
we
Gurdara.
take a cue, whatever that goes unnoticed, and take action.
Yes, Dr. Sunita Gurdara, are you happy with that response? And I also want to ask you that, is it fair that a major sports facility in Mumbai, this is the condition. There are 120 athletes currently training in this particular facility. What training they are undertaking, you can imagine with this kind of equipment that is available. They are living in filth and squalor. You can see the garbage dumps around their rooms. 13 of them packed in one room. I want to understand from you as a former athlete, what would it do to the morale of somebody, say, who's come out of a remote corner of this country, beating all odds? He lands up in Mumbai and this is what greets him.
If you keep athletes, you're promising athletes in such conditions, because Sports Authority of India always keep promising athletes in their hostels. They don't keep just normal athletes. So they are all promising athletes. They are staying in this shoddy conditions. See, if what you are showing in the picture, if construction is going on, they can put cover there, Construction rule is, जहाँ पर भी construction हो रहा हो, वहाँ पर एक wall लगाई जाती है, sheet लगाई जाती है, metro ऐसा करती है. तो why can't they do it? Why these athletes, not only the debris and all, they must be getting fine dust every day. Every day they are breathing the fine dust because of the construction. This is one thing very bad. And about the equipments, the open gym, they have to replace. If the equipments are broken, they have to replace. But the problem is, some of the officers who are in charge, there is no accountability, there is no inspections, there is no monitoring, because some of the officials who are in charge to buy these equipments, they wait for the tender and they wait, corruption comes in. They wait, who will give the maximum cut, maximum commission, we will order. So that things delays, So all the equipments are broken, but they are not bothered about the athletes' safety. You see, stones are there, broken seats are there. Any athlete can be injured, in such conditions.
Yes.
So this is all.
So what you said is very important, Sunita, because
in Delhi,
please complete.
We have now everything is in place. No. You have to listen to this. The day these officers will go and use this gym on themselves, that day the conditions will improve. I have seen this in Delhi. Now Delhi gyms are up to the mark, state of art. Delhi hostels are state of art. Their food is state of art, because on and off, people are inspecting. Administrator coming there, officers coming there, executive director coming there. They are using the gym. They are eating there sometimes. Nutritionist is coming. I have seen myself, coming at the breakfast time, and nutritionist. She is also eating the same food. So once the officers, senior officers will start monitoring, then the things will improve.
Okay, let me take that to Mr. V. Srivats, who is a senior sports journalist.
Like we say, government school में आप नेताओं के बच्चे पढ़ा दो तो government schools की काया बदल जाएगी.
Okay, I got your point. Mr. Srivats, do you agree that, this is only one of the many facilities run by Sports Authority of India? What Sunita is telling us, that look at the one in Delhi, that is functioning perfectly fine. So it's not even about funds, because what Vaibhav Agarwal just told us is that we have enough funds. So are things getting somewhere stuck in bureaucratic hurdles? Because even our reporter, when we ask a question, we are told, come back with an application, come back with a written query. If that is how things move, nothing will change, isn't it?
Absolutely. Because I'm really surprised. 45 years ago when I was a reporter, and Sunita knows much better. So I have used to hear the same complaints. And I'm surprised, even after 40 years, we are hearing the same complaints. I mean, which is something I can't imagine for my life. You know, things have improved. There's no doubt about it. See, as she said, the Delhi center looks pretty good, sleek and everything. And the point is, if you keep on talking of, you know, the biggest problem I can tell you is the person who is heading the Sports Authority of India is an information service officer. Nothing to do with sport. She has spent all her life in information service. She was the PIB chief. Now she has been asked to look after SAI. And another thing is, now 3 months ago at the general body meeting of the SAI, the minister says we are going to draw authority and we will call it Sports India. No, these things will not make any change to the life of a sports person. The fact remains that, there are programs, a lot of very good programs on paper. They read well. When the authorities speak, they sound well. But the fact is, you know, there's one thing I must here admit. The top athletes who are looking at Olympics and all, they are being looked after well. Fair enough.
Yes.
That means you have to wait somebody to reach a level so that the government can take care of them. Before that, at the grassroots level, they couldn't care less what's happening. That should not be the attitude. And if you are really, they have 10 regional centers, 2 excellent. What happened? Look at just a couple of months ago, the hockey coach Harinder Singh said the hygiene and the food at Bangalore Center was appalling.
Absolutely, yes.
Why should it happen? Because this is an Indian national hockey team is practicing there.
Yes.
And if they are
I will take that question to Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal. I'm glad you raised the issue of the SAI facility in Bangalore. We are going to focus on that. Let me first take in a caller, Shankar Majumdar, joining us from Ahmedabad. Go ahead. Good evening, Mr. Shankar Majumdar.
Good evening. Actually, I am seeing this Indian nation now.
Yes.
I'm very glad that you are discussing about these issues of SAI and overall sports of India. Basically, what we people are saying, I agree totally. It is in a very, very poor conditions. I want to suggest a very, very vital thing. See, we are using many technical things for coaching people, training people physically. But there is no system of mind coaching or mind training for the Indian players, which I am trying to insist on the SAI and other people, sports persons there. I strongly believe that unless you improve your mind of the sports person, you cannot do much about the physical fitness and other things.
As of now, we are doing as much damage to the morale, sir, far from giving them, you know, motivation or morale boost or mental strength, which you're talking about. We are just doing the opposite. Arunil wants to come in with that point. Arunil, now this is something we are highlighting again, that what would it do to the morale of an athlete when he lands up in a facility like this? I mean, far from motivating him, this is more likely to demoralize him completely.
Exactly, Afrida. In fact, it was the athletes only who had called me on this, highlighting their plight. When I spoke to these sports persons who were there, they were repeatedly saying that they just cannot come on record because an action might be taken against them. So this is a kind of a fear that has been created in these SAI centers on these athletes so that they don't speak about it. When I tried speaking to the officials as well, they were also, we can see in the video as well, they were also fearful in speaking out. The director, she accepted that these conditions are extremely pitiable, but what hum bhi kya kar sakte hai? That was her response was. So basically, we can.
Yes, Arunil, I have another caller, Raji from Bangalore. Go ahead, Raji.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your question.
Yeah. See, this type of treatment, I feel.
I would request you to mute your television audio, otherwise we will not be able to have this interaction.
Yeah. See, I feel this type of treatment they are giving because of their poor background. Can they give this type of treatment to any person who's staying there? Just ask Mr. Vaibhav.
Yes.
All right. From the poor background. They won't dare to do this one to any rich person over there.
Right.
Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very good point. Let me bring in Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal on this. Yes, Mr. Agarwal, how would you respond? Because we heard Sunita saying that these are players with promise. They may not have reached that level, like Mr. Srivat said. After they reach a certain level, the government takes care of them. They may be struggling, but they have promise and they are poor. Is this how you're going to treat them at this level?
See, there is no disparity in terms of the treatment towards any player, or showing any apathy towards any particular player, whether he comes from a caste, certain creed, certain religion, or certain type of financial background. It is irrespective of us. At the end of the day, it is the question of a skill set. So the skill set is there, and the developing athletes. In fact, there are athletes who come from decent and wealthy backgrounds as well. But then it is encouraged that they stay with their peer group because it helps them breed bonhomie and teamwork, for the sake of teamwork in the sports arena. So it's just like going and working with army. Army has a lot of children from established and well-to-do backgrounds, but that doesn't mean that there is rich and poor. The question here is that what are the framework and what are the policies, and understand, as again and again I'm saying, I was just looking at the kind of activities that is happening in the sports ministry. You understand, there are I would just bring in, for the sake of your audiences also, one is training center for para athletes. It's never existed in past 60 years, 6 decades of existence of sports ministry. Let's face it. International Boxing Academy, it's never existed. High level committee who actually talks an establishing these frameworks in concurrence with an establishment of an empowered steering committee in the sports arena. Now you understand, it has never happened in past 60 years. Successful conduct of the 22nd Asian Athletic Games, which happened under this government, there were no complaints, there were no corruption issues, there were nothing that was told. There is a Grameen marathon that took place. There's so much work that we're doing. We're doing rural games. We're focusing on doing inclusive sports development for athletes coming from the rural areas. So I think that should address the question of your caller from Bangalore, Raji, that there is no distinguish between poor and rich. So it is, then there is launch of a sports talent search portal. So if you're playing a particular game, you can actually go to the portal, register yourself, and come up for an exam.
No, I have no doubt, sir, that you have a grand agenda. I have no doubt about the fact that you have announced several important projects. Even I didn't know half
of this before coming to the debate.
I am absolutely sure that you have enough projects on the pipeline, but we are talking about the ground realities, sir. So let's not digress from this, because it's extremely critical. Right. The point that Aruni also raised, I want to take it to
what I'm trying to say. Right.
No, I'll come back to you, Vaibhav. The point about how the athletes are afraid to speak because they fear a backlash. Now, a lot of this, I believe, is almost become a pattern, and it's like the athletes expect no better. They are not supposed to expect any better. It's like they have to almost suffer in silence, because when we approach some of them, they refuse to speak to us for fear of a backlash. Is that what it is like, Sunita?
You are asking me?
Yes, Sunita, please go ahead.
What I tell you, this condition, just one day, the director lady who is talking that I'm not supposed to give interview, she should go to the gym and use that gym, forcefully make her use the gym, she will understand. Ask her to go and just stay one day in that shoddy room with that construction going on, then she will understand. Actually, there is no sensitivity. There is no, there's no will to improve the conditions of athletes. Otherwise, how come the director sitting there and under her nose, all these things are happening? At least cover the wall so that the dust does not come inside the hostel room, which is mandatory also, but they have not done anything. Imagine every day sports persons are getting up and what they are seeing in front of them. This is not at all acceptable for the athletes, those who are future of your country. Right. So this is not grassroots level promotion or promising athletes treatment.
And it's not just about Mumbai.
Director should be sacked.
Now let's look at another instance.
On task.
Okay. The director is answerable. The director of this facility is answerable. But let's talk about the Bangalore facility, which Mr. Srivats had raised also. And I have this report in front of me where, you know, the sports minister visited the Bangalore facility on the 22nd of March, and the hockey team informed him firsthand that the quality of food was poor. It's not sufficient for them. It's not nutritious for them. Now, what happens next? Of course, all assurances were made of better meals, and a better appointment of better chefs apparently was promised. None of that happened. In June this year, we have another report quoting the chief coach. That is something what I think Mr. Srivats was also referring to. The coach says that poor quality food is being served, and the tournament was in July. Of course, till June, even after the minister visited this facility, nothing changed. So, Mr. Agarwal, this is what happens. I mean, you have reached the highest level. I mean, the sports minister himself present there, have seen everything. He has made his assurances. But who's going to make sure that it's implemented?
Afrida ji, you're absolutely pointing it out rightly. The ministry has this subject in their knowledge, and as far as my understanding of the subject goes, that this particular thing is work in progress. Let's face it, we are dealing with 60 years of
No, but the tournament came and went, sir. You did not give the athletes enough food. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. The entire reason, the idea of having the athletes in a particular center is to give them the kind of food, the meat, the nutrition that they need. Now, if you tell me, well, it's work in progress. I totally agree to
what you're saying.
It's not how it works. There are deadlines that must be followed.
I am totally in agreement with what you're saying, and in what Mr. Srivats is saying, is in what Sunita ji is saying, and we've debated this before as well. I was the one who was present on one of the debates when the Bangalore issue had come up 3 months back. So let me tell you that this work is in progress. The problem of the slow-bound nature of the deliveries on the progress is very simple, that we are here dealing with the last mile change of mindset in terms of provision of quality services, etc., etc. So it is not one day that the minister, just because the minister is standing there, the mindset will change. They will do it today, they will not do it tomorrow again. There is a problem. So we want to fix it, and we want to fix it from a long-term solution perspective, not from a short-term provision perspective. Provisioning can be done even today as we speak. I can make a call, or someone from the ministry can make a call and say provision it. But will it happen again tomorrow? Yes, the same mistake will get repeated again. So how do we fix it? That's why I am saying the work is in progress. And you saw the minister himself. I mean, when there was the whole Olympics that were happening right now, the Paralympics and the other games that were happening abroad, we all saw Rajyavardhan was very graceful in going and interacting with the team and identifying what were the issues they had. And this time when the team travelled, you see the minister travelled and there were no issues in terms of
Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal, graceful interactions are all right, but we are talking about basic living conditions for our athletes. Let's not forget. I want to bring in Mr. Srivats once again to ask you whether you're happy with the response that you got from Mr. Agarwal, and also to point out here that the budgetary allocation has actually increased this year. Okay, I'm told we have a caller. I'll go back to that point later. Dr. Vijay from Maheshwari. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Sure. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Vijay, please, good evening. Go ahead with your point of view.
Yeah. Ma'am, I'm sorry to say that we have been ruled by a sports minister who has got the gold medal. In spite of such a person, the helm of affair, Vaibhav Agarwal is trying to all shield everything in the name of legacy. How can he wait for 4.5 years? He can create his own team, supervise everything day in and out. Then only it is possible. By just passing on buck to everything on legacy, Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal, you are not going to win any single gold medal.
I don't agree. I don't agree with your point.
Right. Yeah. So you see a team which is going below 16, below 19, they stay in one shamyana near the temple, in one room of the temple or Gurudwara. You don't agree because you don't know. So please know your fact well before coming to the show.
Are you saying that?
Hide your face.
Go ahead, Mr. Agarwal.
Vijay ji, Vijay ji, I respect what you're saying, but are you so naive that you're telling me that we can change and disband the entire system which has been made over 60 years in 4 years? Are you saying that, or are you so naive in saying that we can get in a new system after disbanding an existing system which has existed for 60 years and get in a new system and get it working also in 4 years? Are you telling me that we Indians are so efficient? Or are you telling me that the government machine is so well greased? Boss,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with you.
We're not talking about a very large project here. Is it that difficult? Is it that big a challenge? We're simply talking about fixing a premier sports facility in the city of Mumbai. Now, if that goes back to the 60-year legacy, I'm sorry, it sounds as if this is a very tall order for the current government.
But Afrida ji, it is not just fixing about one facility. The Sports Authority of India has 60 such facilities across India. We need to fix up all 60 and make a policy framework which is one.
Which has not happened in the last 4 years.
Policy for one and separate policy for another one.
Okay, I got your point. Let me bring in the next caller.
It is work in progress, and that is why we're seeing progress in the entire bit.
Prashanta Bandhopadhyay from Kolkata. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I would like to ask the gentleman on the show that we are trying and we will try. I'm asking him for last 4.5 years, this government is in place. What have they done? If this is a shoddy state of affairs that we are seeing on the television, where has the money gone? What is the audit done on this? Where is the audit?
I just listed. I just listed the 17-18 list. I mean, I can do that for the sake of brevity.
No, I can list some more. If you're talking about announcements, Mr. Agarwal, I can list some more. We have the Target Olympic Podium Scheme.
I'm talking about
there is the National Sports University bill. All your projects are looking great on paper.
No, 1 minute.
I'm talking about the ground realities, sir. Okay, let me focus on the point about the budget, because the issue of funds keep coming up, whether there is a paucity of funds, whether there's a crunch over there. 2018-19, the figure that I have is 2,196.36 crores, which is allocated for sports, and this is a 13% increase from last year. So my question is that, you have the taxpayers' money, you are allocating it to sports. Why is it that despite the increase in allocation, we don't see any improvement? Far from that, we only see deterioration. Mr. Srivats, can you explain to us that how does the system work, that we can find some accountability? That this is, after all, money from the state exchequer, isn't it?
See, I don't agree with both the arguments that nothing has happened for 60 years and we have started, sport has started improving now. And also that something can be done in 4 years. Both, I don't agree with that. It's been going on. These are all things which are in a stream actually, because they can't. I have seen for 45 years as a reporter, things have improved a lot. I mean, it is not that nothing has happened and all. It has happened. With each ministry changes, with each prime minister. See, I know Mr. Narasimha Rao was the first prime minister to release a massive money into sport, because see, those are all the things at that particular time, because India was doing well at that, started doing well, so everybody recognizes these things. The fact remains that whatever you do, things will need to be improved further and further. See, it happens. So now you have two centers of excellence, one in Bangalore, one in Thiruvananthapuram. There, there are a lot of research is also being done. It's not that nothing is happening. It's been happening. It's a continuous process. So now, if you keep on talking about the same old failings, nothing will look like improved. So things are improving. It's not that. The fact remains, but there are things which have to be addressed at a level which can be done at the ministry level, or at the Prime Minister's level. Even the Prime Minister, it's very nice of him, I must give it to him. He meets every sportsman whenever he or she does well at international levels. See, these are all the encouraging points. I don't deny that.
I'm glad you made that concluding remark, because I have to wind up on that note. I'm glad you brought out that point. I thank my guests, V. Srivats, Sunita Godra and Vaibhav Agarwal. And of course, it's good to end with that note that we are not making any sweeping generalizations here. Of course, some centers are running well. I already highlighted, and Sunita in fact did that, the job about highlighting the Delhi facility, which is running fine. But half the job done is not good enough for us. What we are questioning also is that why is it that sports administrators give themselves a royal treatment, whereas the players, the athletes, get a raw deal? That is what is not acceptable. And what else is not acceptable? The director of a sports facility telling us that बुरा तो हमें भी लगता है, but क्या कर सकते हैं? That is not acceptable. Thanks for watching.